And you are still watching Cairo Local Time, and in this segment of our program we will talk about means of boosting cultural tourism in Egypt as Egyptian museums and archaeological sites began to receive visitors and tourists on the 1st of September. We'll try to know more about this and its impact on the tourism sector, and we are joined today by Mr. Muhammad Zainuddin. He is a tourism expert. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
So, sir, first let's talk about efforts exerted by the government to promote for cultural tourism.
If we are talking about the recent activities that was held by the Egyptian government, especially the Ministry of Antiquitics, led by Professor Khalid Al-Anani,
yes,
we can talk about it's something they started to get out of the box, especially what they started to do with the social media by doing let's say the tours that they started to do in the Egyptian museum while we are having the pandemic of coronavirus. This was something interesting to be done by the government for the first time. And the other thing, doing some kind of augmented reality tours for the Islamic Cairo, especially Muaz Street. They made some augmented reality, or let's say
virtual tours, you mean?
Virtual tours, yeah. 3D tours to some specific places such as Zahir Parkour complex and even Sultan Qalawun complex, and it was interesting. It was something for the first time they are doing it, and they were doing, let's say it was done similar to what the Louvre Museum doing and also what the British Museum is doing as well.
So they did the same thing that was done in big museums around the world, which is virtual tours.
Yes.
So if we talk about opening museums and archaeological sites for tourists and visitors, and we saw that Karnak temple was amongst the first to receive visitors coming from Hurghada. So tell us more about this.
It's something we can say it's sending a message to everyone that we are ready to receive guests from all over the world. But to be honest, since we are not clear about what's happening because of the pandemic and what all the governments around the world they are struggling to face this pandemic, so it's a message to everyone in Egypt. Let's go and visit our places. This is the first thing. The second thing, we are encouraging the expats who is living in Egypt and Cairo and also Luxor to come to visit those places. Especially the government is still having the 50% discount for all the tickets in south of Egypt, especially to Luxor and most of the places in Luxor.
So we have now offers to 50% discount for all tickets.
To visit every place in summer, especially the south of Egypt.
Yes. Also, Egypt's Minister of Tourism and Antiquities, Mr. Khalid Al-Anani, he was visiting this week the Czech Republic, and there was a big exhibition for Egyptian artifacts called the Kings of the Sun. So tell us more about the importance of this exhibition.
We used to have a lot of, or let's say, interesting relationship with the Western Europe, and this one of the first steps to have or to force or to strengthen our relationship with the Eastern Europe, especially the Czech Republic, that we are holding our exhibition in Prague.
I think we have many Czech missions who are who work in excavations in Egypt.
I think we have like 8 missions working in Egypt, but mostly all the
so
missions.
They are interested in Egyptian history.
They have a school for the Egyptology there, and they are doing a great work regarding what they are doing or what they are excavating in Egypt. And we have a lot of expats and a lot of archaeologists who comes to study here.
So they are interested in Egyptian history.
Yes, that's something we can depend on, and we can strengthen our relationship with Czech Republic because of that. And this would encourage the people of Czech Republic to come to visit Egypt, because we are sending our artifacts there to let them see it and to promote or to make a huge promotion for our things, which might encourage them to come to visit after we find a way to face the pandemic of coronavirus.
Yes. So also let's talk about the important archaeological and tourism projects that Egypt is undertaking now despite COVID-19 pandemic.
We have the GEM, or the Grand Egyptian
Yes.
Museum, which is going to be the biggest museum that is specialized in the Egyptian antiquities.
Yes.
It's going to host about 60,000 items, and also it's going to host about 15,000 visitors per hour, which is the biggest number to have, because the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square, it used to have at most about 2,500 or even at most 4,000 visitors per hour. So this is going to encourage people to come to visit. This is the first thing. And the second thing, to add one more night for the people who's going to stay in Cairo. Instead of staying for like 3 nights in Cairo, so they might stay 1 night more. And this would make like some hotels work more, and transportation and guides as well.
I think that this project also is surrounded by many hotels. There's an airport that serve this area. It's now, I think it's inaugurated already. So tell us more about this complex. It's going to be a historical complex, and it's I think it's one of the main achievements of the government that were carried out in the past years.
Yeah, it's like, let's say, it's almost 3 decades of work.
Yes.
And it got a lot of money from Egypt and also from Japan, because the JICA is funding for the GEM, or for the Grand Egyptian Museum. Also, we have the Sphinx Airport. I'm not sure if they inaugurated it, or it's still like they are making like the beta test for it to work or not yet. But it's going to help to have, like, let's say, the transit to come to visit the pyramids.
Make it easier for tourists to come.
It would make it easier for them to come to the Sphinx Airport, and from the Sphinx Airport they can stay maybe in 6th of October, or staying in Giza, visiting Giza pyramids, visiting Saqqara, Dahshur, and also the Grand Egyptian Museum.
And I think also there are some developments in Giza Plateau, in the Pyramids Plateau rather.
I think it, sorry? It's going to be held, or to be administrated by a company called Rascom. It's going to administrate all the area, but it's still undertaking. So we are not sure when they are going to finish it.
Yes.
But according to the Ministry of Antiquities, it might be the pyramids, the Giza Plateau with the Grand Egyptian Museum, both of them inaugurated together at the same time, to make both of them working at the same time, because the government also planning to have like a pathway from the GEM, or the Grand Egyptian Museum, to Giza Plateau. It's about 1 or 2 kilometers walking.
Yes. So also tell us more about places that are renovated now, historical places that are renovated in historical Cairo.
We have many places in Mosaic Street, the biggest open-air Islamic museum in all the world. They are working hard there. One of the projects that I passed by in the last 10 months, it was Bazara. We call it Bazara, or Bazara Complex. They are working to take the underground water away from it and to renovate all the place. Maybe they are going to make it as a historical hotel, or maybe they are going to make it work as a historical place to have visitors, or maybe they are going to make it as a culture place to or a culture venue for everyone to come to have some kind of culture events there.
Yes. So also, sir, one of the important visits that took place in Egypt in the past 2 weeks is the visit by the World Tourism Organization Secretary General, and it was an important visit, and it also promotes for Egypt abroad, as he mentioned that he feels safe, and also precautionary measures that are taken now place in Egypt are very good and safe for all tourists to come. So how do you see this visit?
If you are talking about the visiting of Mr. Zurab,
yes,
okay, it was something we can say it's something important for Egypt to send a message to everyone that we are ready to receive guests from all over the world, and especially we are having like a good thing for the high officials, because they come to verify that we have like The security procedures, it's already working very well, and also the health procedures for everyone to come to visit, and it's safe for everyone. Come to visit Egypt.
Yes.
That is the message that we are sending from this visit.
Also, there are news. There's news that Nile cruise operations will be resuming soon. So, can you tell us some news about preparations for the resumption of Nile cruises?
Actually, the Ministry of Antiquitics announced that it's going to be working maybe in the beginning of October, but until now we don't have any
Exact
clue
time.
about which
exact
time exactly, and even the procedure about
But
how
they are
it's going to be
preparing for
operated.
this.
We are waiting for them to release some kind of like requirements about how it's going to work.
Yes.
Such as the requirements that they announce for the hotels, and this certificate that if a certain hotel is following this kind of procedures, they are going to obtain the certificate to receive guests and to resume working again. Such as the hotels in Hurghada, in Sharm el-Sheikh, and even in Cairo and Luxor.
So, sir, if we talk about the role of youth in Egypt, how can they help in promoting for their country abroad?
As one of the young generation or the people who joined the tourism field in
Yes.
the last decade, I can say that we are working, each one of us individually, on his own way by making, maybe if we are talking about social media, doing maybe some promotional videos talking about historical sites, talking about cuisine, about tradition in Egypt, because if we are talking about the culture tourism, it's mainly about inspecting people of the country and inspecting the history and even how they are doing things and how they eat and what kind of food do they have and even how they get married and the divorce and many of those things.
Tradition.
That's the people who's coming to visit, they are interested about it. This one thing. And the other thing, personally, I was working more with the expats who was living in Egypt, especially in Cairo. Those people, they are living here and they are, let's say, they are a potential customers or clients or guests who's staying in the country.
Already
maybe they are
staying,
working,
yes.
maybe they are diplomats or maybe high officials, and they are only doing work. They have them family with them. Maybe sometimes they would like to see the country, the reality of the country, going to a local restaurant and try the food and falafel, or even they would like to go to attend one of the football matches,
Yes.
or even to go to attend the Tanura performance that is happening in Qubbat al-Ghuri in Islamic Cairo, or even to walk around Khedif Cairo, what we call West al-Balad or downtown. Those things that they are interested about it, to see and feel the reality of Egypt, not through the glass, no, to go and walk around and to see it themselves. That's how we are doing it, by promoting for them and talk to them and depending more on word of the mouth. Because it's more it's more trustworthy for them. They are not going to go anywhere. Some of them, to be honest, some of them they are depending on some sites. If I may say, some of those sites such as TripAdvisor or even Airbnb,
Yes.
as a websites or like a worldwide travel agency. Each one like list himself or herself, and then according to the people who's coming with you or like they joined one of your tours, they are going to write some kind of review or talking about them experience. This one thing that we are working on to make it some kind of like attractive for everyone.
Yes.
This is how we do it, and to be honest, it worked.
Yes.
It worked somehow, because personally I started in 2013, which it was
So you
a time,
started your job in
2013.
tourism sector 2013.
2013, which it was like one of the toughest time in the
Yes.
Egyptian history, and no one is sure about visiting this
Yes,
country.
but
Why?
things got better after that.
Things got better and better, and we hope it's going to be great soon, inshallah. That's why we are doing what we are doing, and we still believe that it's going to be great. That's how Egypt is done in the history, how the rulers in ancient Egypt used to rule it, because they believe that this country has something good, and the people of the country, they can do better to make it amazing.
So also, if we talk about challenges that still face tourism sector in the coming period, and you hope that any challenge or problems got solved. So, in your opinion, what are these challenges?
The main challenge now is the pandemic.
The pandemic,
The
yes.
pandemic itself, it's something because it's not clear everywhere around the world. Yeah, I'm using the face mask, I'm using the sanitizer.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not enough yet because the other health procedure, it's not clear. Some of our sites, I mean the historical sites, they have it clear.
I think
You have
only
like
50% of people, of occupancy of visitors, they are allowed to get in, right?
as example,
Yes.
the Egyptian Museum, it's receiving now at most 200 persons per hour. Before the pandemic, it was even more than that, like maybe 2,000 or 1,000 per hour. Right now, it's only 200 per hour, and you have a maximum number for your group, and you have to use the microphone, the wireless microphone with your group or with the group that you have.
So there are precautionary measures
Yes.
that are applied now.
Yes, in the Egyptian, in the closed sites, but in the open sites, in the open air sites, it's different somehow.
Yes.
Because it's open air.
It's open air. Also, if we talk about historical Cairo and to what extent it is attractive to visitors and tourists?
Most of the visitors who used to come to visit Egypt, they were mainly interested about the ancient Egyptian history, the pyramids of Giza, and the Egyptian Museum. Right now, we have something might attract them more. Let's say for the historic Cairo, City of the Dead, or Cairo Necropolis, which is on Salah Salim Street.
Yes.
It's amazing. It has about 37 complexes made out of schools, houses, and even mausoleums for the sultans of the Mamluk period. Also, we have another thing. We have Mosaic Street that we mentioned earlier in this
an
interview.
open museum, you said.
And also we have the Museum of Islamic Art, which is the first museum of Islamic art in all the world, and the biggest one by the number of antiquities. It's already displayed there. One of the interesting things that the Egyptian government used to do before the pandemic, that we started to have a nighttime visit for the Egyptian Museum. It was Sunday and Thursday. For the Museum of Islamic Art, it was Saturday night. It was amazing. I hope it's going to be resumed very soon, because it was interesting, because you can go to the museum and it's almost empty. It feels like the movie Night at the Museum.
Yes, yes. And only a specific number of visitors are allowed to get in, or anyone?
Before the pandemic, it was open for everyone to come to visit.
At night?
At night, yes. But after the pandemic, it's still, we are not sure when they are going to resume it.
Yes.
I hope soon.
And in your opinion, how do you see renovations that took place in Tahrir Square? And to what extent it reflects the true history of Egypt?
Personally, for me, I felt like it's Plaza de Concorde in France, because they have an obelisk for Ramesses II, and now we have, for the first time, one of our antiquities, let's say the obelisk for Ramesses II, it's displayed in one of the main squares. And it's amazing. The way that it's organized, I feel proud of it, honestly.
So
especially with the light system that they are doing, they are working on it, and the renovation of the buildings around. Also, what's going to happen next, which is moving the royal mummies from the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square to the National Museum of the Egyptian Civilization, which is going to be great, because the royal mummies, it moved 2 times through all the history. First time from Luxor to from Valley of the Kings to Luxor itself, and from Luxor to Cairo Museum, which is the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square. The second time, it's going to be to the National Museum of the Egyptian Civilization. We are talking about almost 37 kings and queens, which is the biggest number of kings and queens. They are moving from one place to another. So this is going to be great, and everyone was waiting for it. We expected it to be last March, but unfortunately, because of what happened, We
It's
are not sure
postponed.
about when they are going to do it. Maybe it's going to happen in 2021, and we are hoping that it's going to happen because it's going to be a huge promotion for Egypt, because everyone is waiting and like monitoring what's happening and how they are going to move it. I hope the government, they are going to make some kind of a beta test for what they are going to do, like
Yes.
to make a parade from the Egyptian Museum to the National Museum to see how it's going to be organized.
Yes. Finally, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mohammed Zainuddin, a tourism expert. Thank you for being with us
It's my
today.
pleasure, ma'am. Thank you.
And by that, viewers, we come to the end of today's edition of Cairo Local Time. I'm Sheena Adel. Thank you for watching.